So what's in my hand here? Well, it's a 60-in-1 with a couple adapters that allow you to use a 60-in-1 board on a Nintendo arcade cabinet. So what's the problem with Nintendo arcade cabinets and 60-in-1s where you can't just simply use the 60-in-1 board and plug it right into a Nintendo cabinet? Well, it's the monitor. The Sanyo EZ20 is one of the things that causes problems for a 60-in-1 to work properly, basically because the colors are inverted. So one, you need an inverter board, this red board right here, and then two, you need a edge adapter, which is what all the wires from the Nintendo cabinet plug into on top here. Now, right in front of me here is a Nintendo cocktail cabinet. We're going to take this 60-in-1 and we're going to put it into this Nintendo cocktail cabinet. If you follow my channel, you're going to say, Rex, I saw you refurbish an old Nintendo cocktail cabinet. It was beautiful. It had a real working TKG3 board in it. Why would you put a 60-in-1 in that beautiful cabinet, that beautiful cocktail cab? Well, I'll tell you, this isn't the same one. This is a different cocktail cabinet I picked up for 500 bucks. I decided to convert this one into a 60-in-1 and actually make it a Donkey Kong 3 cocktail. Now we can take the 60-in-1 and boot it right into Donkey Kong 3. We can do a couple other things with it as well. I'll probably leave a few more games on it, not just Donkey Kong 3, just to make it a little more playable for other games and other people. So what do you say? We take the 60-in-1, we put it in here, and I give you my first impressions of what I think about the 60-in-1 and the emulation behind it. Is it perfect? Is it flawed? Well, we'll take a quick look at that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is start plugging in all our connectors into this JAMA Edge connector board. Don't have a lot of room to work here, but we're going to work our way and plug these in correctly. Now, I don't have a good setup yet for this, but I am just going to lay it in here for now. It's holding up okay. All right, let's plug it in and see what happens. Okay, so one of the things you're going to want to hold on to is this manual for your 60-in-1 if you get one. It tells you all the dip switch settings that you need to adjust some of the game options. It also has some other information as well that you're going to need to hold on to, so keep that handy. In order to get the dip switch or test menu settings to come up, you need to change the fourth dip switch on the actual 60-in-1. There's 4 dip switches on there. Change the fourth one to on, and that will boot to the test menu, which allows you to change all these things. I'm going to show you how to change one dip switch setting. A lot of these games come with weird default settings, ones that you normally didn't find in the arcade. For example, Pac-Man. We're going to change the dip switch settings on Pac-Man because right now it has, I believe, 6 lives. So we find the game that says Pac-Man, and the manual tells us that live setting for 3 lives is dip switch 1 on, dip switch 2 off. So we're going to change that one to on, that one off, and then extra life at 10,000 is going to be on for 3 and 4. On. And you can see it tells you as you go that you're changing it. Extra life just changed to 10,000. Once we do that, we can scroll through and finish up. If you want to change any games, you got to go through all of them and change them all based on the dip switch settings. Lastly, you'll get the volume adjust, and there is also a way to delete games as well. Okay, so one of the first problems I had with this 60-in-1 and this Nintendo monitor was dialing in the brightness, the colors, everything. There are a lot of settings, not only on the chassis or the flyback, for example, the focus and the brightness on the flyback. There's also a breakout board for brightness and obviously all your sinks and holds. There's also red, green, and blue, what they label on these on the neck board on a Sanyo as G bias, R bias, B bias, and then also the green and blue drive. So all these settings I had to tinker with the help of Sharp Image Repair in order to get this dialed in. And I still have problems every time I turn it on getting that brightness exactly right. But when you put on a game like Pac-Man, you can see I got it dialed in very nicely. And boy, it actually plays very well from an emulation standpoint. And I'm very happy with games like this. But are all the games great for emulation? Let's get into a couple of them. All right, so let's take a look at Donkey Kong. Everybody knows I love Donkey Kong. Very familiar with this game. Obviously, the intro music sounds pretty good. You got the sound bites of the crashing of the girders. It's a good sign. Everything looks pretty good. Seems to be playing pretty nicely. And I can tell you I have played a lot of this on here, and surprisingly have not seen anything that's really off in terms of sound or emulation. Everything seems pretty good from what I can tell so far. Very minimal. I don't feel basically any lag in the jumping or joystick. That's a spot where you're supposed to be able to double jump and get points. Struggling to pull it off on this. But then again, the joystick's a little wonky too, so maybe that's why. But so far, all in all, pretty good. Sounds great, looks great. Now, let's take a look at a game where I did find an immediate emulation issue. And here's where I'm going to show you right here. See right there, you should be hearing a jumping ping. And it's got a little different sound than normal, than the Donkey Kong game, but there's still a ping there, a jump ping. When you get that 100 points. Pretty interesting. Now, I didn't play too much of this game to see what else is missing, but that just goes to show you that when people talk about bad emulation on the 60-in-1, it's there. The bad emulation is there on certain games. Now, I haven't gone through all of them, obviously, and I don't want to go through all of them. I only put 6 games on here, or 7 games, as you can see. And so far, out of these 7, that's really the only one where I've found a significant flaw so far. All right, so we have Donkey Kong 3. This is a Donkey Kong 3 table. Let's show a little bit of Donkey Kong 3. So far, plays pretty good. I haven't seen any flaws in emulation. Sounds really well. So that's my experience so far with the 60-in-1. Not overly pleased with it, but not too disappointed for the cost. For this setup, works fine. Got my 3 Donkey Kongs on it. Got Donkey Kong 3, Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. Fairly pleased with what I got set up here. Hey, I want to thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. Thanks.